This is Bukit Brown, the place where nature thrives and creatures reside. It is a public Chinese cemetery that had been established in the early 20th century. Buried at Bukit Brown are the earliest generations of immigrants who built this society. It is a burial ground for most of the pioneers of Singapore. In 2013, the Land Transport Authority began the first stage to construct a dual, 4-lane road through the cemetery to help ease traffic congestion. Gravestones to be exhumed are tagged with numbered white pegs. People are all engaged in a boisterous yet silent struggle over space, meaning, memory, and the dead.
Personally, I come here every year with my mom. My dad is not too keen in doing all this, so I follow my mom.
So these are your children?
Yes, yes.
Is it your first time here?
No, it's my second. It's my first.
The heritage part, I mean, you have been here for so many years. It feels a bit weird that we no longer visit the grave.
My name is Ik Han. I'm one of the Brownies. So we are volunteer guides who bring people on tours of Bukit Brown. We have seen the rich heritage and culture of Bukit Brown for ourselves. That's why we want to share this with other people. And we've been doing this for slightly over 2 years, ever since news of the road construction works broke. We're actually at the tomb of Ong Sam Leong. He supplied coolies for phosphate mining at Christmas Island. At the same time, he also supplied their provisions, he provided for their accommodation, the entertainment. So he got very rich from all these things which he did for the phosphate mine. This tomb that you see here is actually the largest in Bukit Brown and also probably the largest that we have in Singapore at this point in time. The tomb was actually constructed before the founding of Bukit Brown Cemetery because the land used to belong to the Ong clan, and Ong Sam Leong, as one of the Ongs, he had the choice of buying this very big plot of land which is in a very good commanding position, good according to Feng Shui principles, and then he built his tomb here. He passed away in 1911 as recorded here on his tombstone, and his sons Boon Tat and Peng Hock are also buried nearby. In fact, Ong Sam Leong and Ong Boon Tat, they have roads named after them in Singapore. The magnificence of this tomb is not just in its size, it's also in the carvings, the very fine carvings that you see which decorate this tomb. So for example, over here, we have a panel of the 8 immortals. 4 of them are here and 4 of them are over at his wife's side. And you can see that in those days, because they used hand tools to carve, they can produce very fine carvings which are like 3-dimensional in nature, and you can see that the structures are very thin. And nowadays you can no longer get something like this. For the tombs of the richer people, they often have a pair of golden boy and jade girl. So I'm actually sitting with the jade girl now. Now, the golden boy and jade girl, they are believed to be like not deities, but they are like spiritual beings which conduct the dead to the Western paradise. And they have been around for some time, at least I think from the Tang Dynasty onwards. We don't have that many pairs of golden boys and jade girls because, like I said, they are usually put up only at the tombs of the richer people, and not everyone will have them. And also we find that they started to appear only towards the early 20th century. The golden boy would actually carry a censer in his hand that represents the burning incense from the censer represents unending lines of descendants and offspring. And the jade girl, as you can see here, she carries a flower, a peony flower, which represents wealth. At many tombs in Bukit Brown, you find stone lions. So the lions are placed there as guardians for the dead, for the tombs which they are guarding, as the lions are fierce creatures. So at Ong Sam Leong's tomb, we have a pair of stone lions as well, but these are much larger than the usual ones because of the size of his grave. You can see that the quality of the workmanship is very good because within the lion's mouth, there's a stone ball, and this stone ball is not inserted, it's actually carved from the material within the mouth. The lions are also found in both genders, that means male and female. And over here we have the male lion, and you can see that every detail of the lion has been done very nicely. The male lion usually holds a ball under its feet, whereas the female lion will have a cup. When the British first came to Singapore, they brought along the Sikhs who served as both sepoys, who are soldiers in the British Army, as well as policemen. And subsequently, some of these Sikhs, they became guards for rich Chinese businessmen as well. Now the Sikhs are the martial race, so they're also very well built physically. And when the Chinese the rich Chinese, when they wanted to have people to guard their warehouses and their homes, naturally they turned to these Sikhs, whom they held in high regard. In front of Mrs. Lim Yi Soon's grave are a pair of inscriptions which are very meaningful. So on this end, you have the Chinese characters 生源中国籍, and on the other side, it says 葬在外邦域. So what it means is that born originally in China, but buried in a foreign land. And that's an apt description for all of the pioneers who are buried in Bukit Brown today. They came from a foreign land, traveled over the seas, and then they found a home and their final abode in Singapore. For the many graves which are affected by the ongoing road works, those which will not be claimed will suffer a sad fate. Because after a certain period of time, when no descendants step forward to claim them, the ashes will be scattered at sea eventually. So to these people who traveled across the sea and who were lucky enough to land in Singapore, it must be something that they can't quite imagine. It's like dying a second time. And after the ashes are scattered at sea, they will be forgotten, unlike the ones who are left behind.